Hello, good evening. Crystal Rebound here today for another show on Upstreamedia's YouTube channel. Welcome everyone and hope you're all doing well, all things considering. So it's been a busy week on the show. Starting Monday, I had Leopard Riders coach Jam on the show. It was a great talk. We talked a bit about challenges coaching and a bit about the Leicester Leopard Rider family. So it's a really interesting show. Great insight from someone who's been with that franchise for quite a while and some good coaching insights. Spent on Tuesday, I had Essex Hearts Leopards head coach Thomas Barker on the show, and that was a great show. Also, really good talk about the NBL. The season's just gone, and we also looked at things that might be at play next season in terms of the challenges that we'll be facing in this new season when it does eventually start. So that was a really good show. Yes, wasn't on, but I tuned in nonetheless. It was a great show. We had CJ Lee with his third instalment of Coaching Insight, and it was a really good show with Vicky Milner, fellow Kestrel's coach, and it was really good insight. So definitely go back and give it a listen. So it's great insight on how things have changed at Kestrel's in terms of being under one roof, and it was really great of the actual advantages of that system, and also some of the challenges for junior and ladies basketball at the moment. So it was really great insight, and especially bits about some of the actual play. So you got into the tactics. So it was a really in-depth show. I really enjoyed watching that, and I'll probably watch it again. I'm sure there's bits I missed. If you're new to the channel, obviously subscribe and to make sure you get all the content when it comes out. Upstreamedia, a great channel. Usually during the season, they stream the Thames Valley Cavaliers D1 men's home games. So obviously during this off season, Rupert Charles and Co have been offering this great daily show to talk basketball, keep us going. I've really enjoyed coming on, honing my craft and talking basketball to many stars and coaches that I wouldn't usually get to do face to face over the camera. So usually it's sort of a written blog and Q&A. So it's definitely a new experience, what I'm really enjoying. Today I thought, with it being Thursday, the typical throwback Thursdays, so because it trended on the social media today, I thought I'd try and look back at some of the history. For me, it's really interesting to learn about the history because my route today is unconventional. Probably only got following basketball the last 3 to 4 years, so there's a lot I don't know. And actually, at the moment, there's a lot going on behind the scenes, and also in terms of Facebook page coming up with content. You've had other people doing the same thing as what we're doing here, having good basketball chats, discussing yesterday and look further on. So I think it's quite topical. So I thought I'd talk about 3 things in general. So I thought I'd talk a bit about Michael Jordan, Chicago Bulls in terms of relations, anything that relates to British basketball, and then look a bit at what I'm sure a lot of you are aware, Basketball England got this lovely history page. So I'll be talking about a few of the things that really interest me and sort of go into a bit more depth and discuss those. And then I'll finish on what I think is a really well thought out, structured feature I've seen with Essex Hearts Leopards, and they've been chronologically their 25-year history in sort of little bite-sized features, and they've been really interesting. I won't want to spoil it, but give you a few little highlights, I think, to make you want to go read it if you haven't already. I really recommend it. So before I get started on that, what a season has been, a really great season. I say we covered NBL, Rebound, Head Site. If you haven't done it, we tend to do like weekly features and Q&As, and there's a lot of content on that website as well. So go and check it out. And say it keeps us busy during this time. So it's a real time at the moment, isn't it? It depends whether you're working from home or you're off work. You've got a lot more time at home, so it's great. But there's stuff like what Upstreamedia are doing, keeping us busy, keeping us something to watch and look forward to. So I just had my phone on silent. It's coming from notification. So yeah, so and that like leads in nicely to our point. So one of the things I've really enjoyed watching is the Last Dance and learn a bit more about the NBA. As I mentioned, I only got into basketball 3 or 4 years ago. So Jordan was a bit before my time. I probably knew a little bit about growing up. You hear people talk about basketball, but for me, it just wasn't on my radar at the time. So it'd be really interesting learning about amateur Chicago Bulls. But I kind of want to link it to British basketball. So I think what's really good in British basketball is that maybe we don't. Sorry, what's good is that there's a lot of interest in America, but it's about bringing. For me, I'm really interested in developing the British game and bringing it back so it's relatable to what we're doing now. I think if you look at Chicago Bulls right now, if you look for a British league, there's no better to look at Joe Pinchin. Joe Pinchin started off behind the scenes social media for Leicester Riders family to his social content, ideas, and great graphics. And it's no surprise to me that he's been given this opportunity to apply his graft for Chicago Bulls social media team. Top of my head, there's so many things this season, last season, that really stands out. He did a lot of event days with Leicester Riders, linked with the Showcase Cinema, and he did a really cool poster that was a popular film and game for the Marvel franchise, and he photoshopped in the players of Leicester Riders, looked really good. He's done lots of stuff like that. Really great video graphic. Go to him a follow. I'm sure you're probably quite aware of him already. And I say his legacy carrying on. One thing I really enjoyed this week was from Leicester Riders Instagram. They were doing their jersey competition. I wasn't surprised at one of the designs that was probably inspired by Joe Pinchin's work behind the scenes. The neon shirt, which glows in the dark, won the kit. It was pretty good to hit. There's lots of others I recommend if you've got a spare minute. Just have a look back at the many good kits Leicester Riders have got. I'm sure you see quite a lot of it on the Instagram or on their official site. There's a lot of good kits. But obviously, if you go a bit further back, you got Luol Deng. Luol Deng was a two-time NBA All-Star, sort of 2012, 2013. And his rookie season, he made the NBA rookie first team. And I say he's done some great content this off season. Maybe a little bit divided opinion. I say it's very honest talk, and him and Pops Mensa have having a great Instagram series where they're sort of just talking about their experiences. And there's a lot related to British basketball in terms of their Team GB, and also about their careers. It's really good insightful. I think a lot of younger players can learn a few bits. And what's been really great is that they've given Hoops permission to put on their websites a bit more accessible for more people. Just not everyone has Instagram, and I think sometimes Instagram is great if you're on it at the time and you get to see the Instagram live and you get to watch it. They obviously optimize their viewership by advertising the times, but it's not. It's great for media to have a discussion on it. You can't watch it back like on YouTube. So for them to give it permission to Hoops to put on their website, it's great and reach more audience and definitely get the basketball out there to the masses, which is what we want to see really to promote this great game. And I say, he had an amazing season for them, and I'm from that, from watching the Instagram live, it's motivated me to learn a bit more about him. And I thought it was really amazing that he made the first team in his rookie player, because he had an injury right at the end, but ended the season a bit early than he would have liked. So to manage to get on the rookie first team with having an injury is an amazing feat. And he had an amazing career with Chicago Bulls. And I remember this summer, probably about 4 or 5 months ago now, he signed a one-day contract with Chicago Bulls to retire at the franchise it all started. So that was an amazing journey, and I wish him all the best. So he's definitely someone who has been there, done it, and I really enjoyed listening to some of the tales from Jimmy Rogers, rest in peace, and his insight to basketball was really great. And having someone who's been that whole journey is probably invaluable for the players of today and tomorrow. So it was definitely great looking to that. And I say, obviously, at the moment, everyone is watching The Last Dance. I've really enjoyed watching that, and I've still got a bit more to watch. I keep And I sit down and watch it, it distracts by something, or my girlfriend said, "Oh no, we don't watch MasterChef." So definitely there's some time I just sit and watch it, enjoy it, and watch back games. So for me, I got to see NBL first, then bit BL, bit Team GB, and a bit NBA as well. So it's lots to learn. And I really enjoyed watching it, and it's really insightful. I'm sure everyone's watching it, but if you're not, definitely go and check it out. It's a really good watch. So, and so, so I say I would talk about MJ as well. I think in a lot of circles, everyone gets quite sort of, I don't want to say obsessed, but very opinioned on who they think the greatest player of all time is. And obviously, it's difficult to decide one because sometimes players play different um, different teams, and also the rules change. So, like, makes the game either easier or quicker. And obviously, different players play different environments. So it's always quite hard to decide about who the players. And going a little bit off topic of MJ, it was quite interesting. So I was watching not watching, like reading the British Basketball's England's history page, and it's quite interesting. But so it was quite Americanized from having that GOAT debate spin into English British basketball. And there's a lot of players that fans of the game from yesterday were saying that they thought their best player was. And some of them actually read the stats. I definitely see why they're advocating their names for Stephen Trader, Jimmy Diamond, Alan Bird, and Bobby Jennings, who apparently was the only player to average 40 points per game in an NBL one season. So that's amazing. The more I read from that site, you see that at the time there was a lot more media interest in basketball. There's a few magazines I'd love to read at some point if I got the opportunity to. The coverage of the game back in the 80s and 90s, and even that looked much better than it is today. And I think that was one of the things that motivated me to start Rebound. So I started Rebound, I think it's our second season of covering Rebound, myself and my best mate Richard Jones, who a bit more behind the scenes. So we did a little bit less this season because of change for supporting the new family. But between us, when we started watching basketball, we feel like just our background was nil, and also because there was little to none information out there on rival teams. We were like, we both would love to learn a bit more, because say we're both really into football and follow multiple teams. And I say I support a little town called Swindon, where I was born, and I've not lived in Swindon most of my life, so having online content to learn that has been integral to me supporting them. And I think most people, if they support a third or fourth tier team to a reasonable extent, it's not to be a casual fan, but quite invested in them, tends to know quite a lot about A, the history of the team, B, the opponent players, a bit about the rivalries. And for me, coming into basketball, I didn't really know that quite easily. And I think this British Basketball History page will do great work to do that. And also the work of, say, Hughes, we constantly in ourselves. And I think when you have a history, it's easy to buy into it, and also it reaches a wider audience. I think in common society, we're quite vested in thinking about players of tomorrow, the future. But I think if we don't appreciate the past, we're missing people who are still invested in today. And I've really enjoyed learning about sort of the history and some of the players, and it's deepened my interest in basketball. I think that's a great thing. If a bit of content or a bit of news deepens our connection with basketball, it's a great thing, because it's quite easy to get despondent or frustrated with things that you might think shouldn't be the case. And I think sometimes when I watch content, like I think the Damon Spencer thing was a great example of it, and it was really great content. There was a lot of good positive messages, but the negative gets pushed out and then it multiplies, it just viral so quickly. So I think for me it's quite nice to learn about the history, because you're just looking at the history and it's about the basketball game, which we all love. So it's only a positive thing. Another thing I saw when I was looking at the England basketball page, and after tonight, I'll repeat, but anything we've discussed today, I'll post links to, because I think I don't want to single out the British basketball history page as anything in particular, but I say it's great, but they put a page for people to discuss their memories. But for me, the challenge when I go on it, I could spend 40, 50 minutes looking for a bit of information I'm looking for in particular. And I think if they had it in categories, to like have a discussion page for the 80s, 90s, and today's, and then I think it would deepen the connection people have that, and it also increase people's knowledge. So, like if they were a star fan of the 80s, but actually if they've discussed it in the 80s part, they'll learn a bit more about the other teams and players as well. But a little life hack on you guys, something I found today was, but when you're on a Facebook group like that one, if you're looking for a certain team or player, you just search it and look at all the posts with that in. So it's definitely helped me find stuff. And going a bit back to Michael Jordan, that's one thing I thought was amazing was, but in the season after his rookie year, so I got me with Jonathan Ross, but sounds like W's, apologies there. He came over to Brixton, and I thought, wow, that's amazing. I think it showed how much an impact he had in his first season, but he came to England, and it was amazing, publicised event. He did a scrimmage in Brixton. He opened up a shop, I believe, on Oxford Street. And we'll post on our website a video of his scrimmage in Brixton. It was amazing getting all the young British basketball players of the time in the scrimmage of him. I noticed Jimmy Rogerson. There was a few people there being involved in the game, but I also noticed in the video, so it was quite good to see MJ in a room with the players and also the coaches of the British basketball game, and that was really interesting. But I say it was over here because of Nike, and so often we say about the sponsorship being important to what we're trying to do, and I'll get to that in a second. I'll try to be linear. So he came over to promote the Air Jordans for Nike, and I was reading into it, and the impact Michael Jordan had for that brand was amazing. It surpassed their own expectations. They were writing and saying they were only expecting 100,000 to be sold, and within a few months were going at 1.4 million traders sold in the US alone. So the powers be in that arrangement coming to the UK, if that was Nike, and obviously people from British basketball game are hoping for a similar impact and buzz. And one thing that's really heartwarming, I look at an old post, but actually at some point there was a well-sponsored game. You had the leagues named after people like Budweiser, Asda. There was a lot of sponsorship, and there's a funny one about Essex I'll talk about later. So that sort of covers mostly Michael Jordan's Chicago Bulls and aspect, and I'm really looking forward to kind of watching the rest of The Last Dance and also learning a bit about the players I mentioned, like Noel Deng, who I didn't really grow up watching, to say I only got into basketball 3 or 4 years ago. And I sort of want to move on to some of the bits I saw really interesting in terms of the British teams on the British basketball history video. And I'm sort of leading on. So in, I think, 1990 to 91 season, we had Kingston who got to the final, not to the knockout of the European Championship Cup finals. So that was an amazing feat for them, and they got knocked out. So it was like from the looks of it, from looking at Wikipedia and other things, but basically it's 8 teams, and then they all play each other. The top 4 go through to the quarterfinals, to semi-finals, finals. And in one of their games, they played someone called Tony Kukoc, who went on to be the Final Four MVP, and the teams were knocked out by about it was a single digit defeat. It was a very close game, but I mentioned him because it adds to the sort of tenuous but link between sort of Chicago Bulls and British basketball, say he was partially responsible for knocking Kingston out on their road to European success, and obviously himself was a big part of his team since Pop 84, and was Final Four's MVP. In that 1991 season, he was drafted by Chicago Bulls, but would stay at his team for 3 years. But he did amazingly. He went to USA and was the all-rookie second team and had a great career with them, and I believe he's still an advisor. So it's interesting how, but there is a gap between obviously European basketball and American, but there are obviously people who pass both, as we said, either off court with Joe Pincher handling it for social media, or we've had players like Lil Dane who had an amazing career. And I really enjoyed learning more about his career, and many others who have gone that route that so many players aspire to in today's game. But I say, going to the point I'm making now, is the Basketball British History is a really good way to learn a bit more about the game, especially for myself. It's a great place for me to go and read more about the game I love so much. I think during the season, it's very, if you've got a full-time job and you're also promoting British basketball and there's games on, there's very little time to go back and research over what you're trying to put out in terms of content. So for me, personally, it's quite good to read some of these stories of yesteryear. But as I was saying, I didn't want to pick this out for any particular reason. It was just a really interesting story. There are a lot of other teams who, back in the 80s and 90s, had success in Europe. One of them was Solent Stars. I think it's the 83-84 season of Milan. They did really well, and it's great learning a bit about Solent Stars as well. So you might notice that they've got a Solent Stars website with a lot of history, photos, and memories, which would be really good to watch. So for myself, being from Southampton, living in Southampton, it's just to know about what came before the Kestrels. And there's so many pages out there at the moment who are doing great content, so it's great to mention that. But also, there's teams doing success in Europe. Today, I mentioned in past reviews about the academy stars like Marstroff, Barkin, and Haringey are doing amazingly in Europe in the EYBL, and obviously Barkin went to the Adidas Next Generation tournament and did really well. So there's seeds of hope, but I think I touched upon it with a lot of the coaches in the past of the year, but actually maybe one of the big stumbling blocks for us to be successful like British basketball in the 80s and 90s about having the sponsorship in place and streaming service. Really, I think you look at the 80s and 90s, they had Sky, and obviously probably maybe to reach a bigger audience than say the YouTube videos are, because I think we were really good at giving content to the market we got already, but I don't foresee many casual new to basketball fans though to go and find a YouTube video on British basketball. I think they're more likely to find it if it was on a channel like BBC, if they're already watching something before the basketball was on. Whereas you kind of got to go to the YouTube page to watch it, unless you invest in advertising. But obviously, it's treasure resources, and that's a bigger chunk. But maybe I was going to talk today about some of the history, so that's another time. But it's definitely nice to hear about some of the successes from a few years ago, and I really enjoyed it. And if you haven't already, which I think most of you probably are, so you've got over 2,000 followers on Facebook, but it's a really good Facebook group with some great information. I just wish it was a bit more categorized, so in the sense that, like, I mean, I've got time at the moment, but I imagine an all working week, I probably wouldn't have time to go through, scroll down, read all the stories, because as much as you want to learn about everything, some things are more interesting to some people than are others, and I really hope in the future they either open up the discussion pages or maybe have subgroups so then you can deepen your understanding. I've taken notes of what I want to learn for the future, but I think it wasn't the most easy to find the pages. I was looking for the posts, and if it was all in one place, maybe people would be like commenting on the same post, and it'd be a bit more engagement with all the posts are in a similar pace in terms of the interest or club or league. But it's been really interesting. There's a lot of great players to learn about. And in terms of a really well structured piece, I need to go to the next point, but the Essex Hearts Leopards page. So I'm not if you're not aware of it, it is basically their 25-year history before they were the Kings, and it's really interesting. It's got like newspaper cuttings, pictures, and a really great story because they've had a really great journey in the last 25 years. One of other teams. It's well worth checking. I won't spoil most of it, but I picked a few things. There's many name changes they had. They always kept the letters part, but they changed the prefix, if you will, a few times. People watch the show. Thomas Barker, head coach, would have heard us joking about the links with apologies, right. Playboy TV has been the main sponsor and also the naming of the team, and there's many others. So obviously go check it out. They're releasing a feature every sort of 3 or 4 days. They just released part 4. One thing I would say actually is the Bradford Dragon fans have a look out for. There's a really the photo of a head coach, and I don't think they did a flashing photo. He's got a very interesting game face. You just see he's obviously trying to focus on this shot, and the camera sort of talk. It's one of those ones that you put on the game face challenge to get trending, let's say, on the social media to see some of those challenges go on in the last few weeks. Try if it was. But there's a lot of really great history, great to learn, and it deepens your understanding of the game as well. For me, I think a lot of the reason we don't attract the audience is that there's a lack of understanding for newbies. Like, when I go watch a game, people aren't always about what the rules are or who the people are. So learn a bit about the history, because a lot of my coaches were players before, so having that connect with them, so I used to watch them, or I saw a video of that person, it gives you more to be interested in. And I think as long as it's good content, which all these things I've mentioned are, hopefully they'll attract an audience, and also maybe we sparked people who were interested maybe sort of 10, 15 years ago, but trailed off, because say as much as we'd love to keep interested in the game, there's often challenges for us being able to be engaging with it. You know, we have, unfortunately, life gets in the way. Either you've got family or your work, or you have to move for a job. So there's always reasons why I don't connect. And I think social media, if used correctly, to really connect us all. And I think if we power ourselves to the digital age, I think hopefully we could keep building the British basketball game. So that's basically what I'm talking today, because I thought I really want to promote those things I just mentioned, because I think they did a real good service in terms of promoting the basketball game. And for me, it's a really good distraction. So I've got my day job, I've got the project, so I'm doing fine. But in terms of my personal development for Rebound, I thought I wanted to do develop my Photoshop skills, develop my image editing, and to say quite a lot of my skills are word based, and I wanted to have a bit more rounded in terms of a social media package I offer with Rebound. But I must say, all the stuff I just talked about now has distracted me well and truly from those. But not to worry, to say we've got quite a lot of time for me to learn a bit more about Photoshop or video editing or image editing. I say it's been a really big year, and I say thank you for Upstreamedia. They did my debut on commentating this season, so I commentated 2 days with Thames Valley Cavaliers, hosting Kestrel's been Loughborough. I was just watching both these teams back the other day. They're really good games to watch. And I say, it's, in terms of live streaming, obviously, we've had the NBA on live, so there's a lot of positives, even though many things might not seem so positive next. I'm looking forward to seeing in the first team what the organisation, what the teams and all the volunteers delivered. So I'm sure they'll rise to a challenge. So I say thanks for listening. I hope some of the information is new to you. So a lot of it was to me before I heard it, so I thought I'd love to share it with you guys. So just to recap, we started off with Joe Pinchin. We sort of talked about the jerseys, with left to right, they're really good. I think I talked about it previously. I think like Perception has a big play. And for me, I think there's a lot of the what I call the NBA shiny effect going around Leicester Riders, among other teams, not just them. But obviously, if you're going to have a little follow to say it's great to diversify our interest in basketball. So I talked a bit about Leicester Riders, talked about Joe's journey to Chicago, and when we talked about Lord Dane and Pep Spencer, a bit about the podcast. Obviously, check it out, which is now on Hoops. It's really interesting to listen from two guys who've gone from all the way to the holy grail of the NBA, as to speak. So that was really interesting. So we talked about Michael Jordan at Brixton. I'll be sharing that video on YouTube onto the official site probably tomorrow. So I haven't had my dinner yet, so I'll finish this. I'll have my dinner, then I'll post that feature tomorrow. So you guys haven't watched it. If you haven't, it's a really good video of a scrimmage of MJ and a few guys in Brixton. Eagle eye people will probably spot players or coaches from back in the day. Then talk about B history page. Teams in Europe, there's been quite a lot, and I say I really enjoyed looking at the B history. It's one of the shining lights in this off season to keep me interested in basketball. So it's diversifying my interest. There's about handfuls of names from yesterday. I'm going to be researching, learn a bit more, hoping I'll find some old video clips to watch some games, right, especially when it's not anymore. And then we finished off the Essex Hearts and Leopards, which I think for me is a really great example of someone doing the history really well in terms of it being structured but also very light. So for me, it's quite easy to dip in and out while I'm doing other stuff. Sort of great story, it's sort of great photos and newspaper cuttings where you sort of read history, and obviously they have some of the games and about the individual days, but also about the history of the club in terms of the ownership and also name changes and funny ones as mentioned. And yeah, so that's basically, so I've really enjoyed leading. I'm looking forward to next few sub segments. So they're covering their 25-year history, and they've only done 4 parts so far. I think the next one's probably out either Friday or Saturday, just saying that every 3 days. So just to wrap up, that's what we've done. I say it's been a great week. I hope you guys have enjoyed the videos I have. Just watching it back, I had Coach Shalm on Monday, I had Coach Barker on Tuesday, CJ Lee was on yesterday with Vicky Milner. It was a really insightful video. They talked a bit about Ladies' Day and what they did to get, I think it was over 50 girls in for summer camp. That was amazing for the local area. And also a bit about the insights of having all your teams under one roof. So obviously I've had the new stadium. So it was amazing to hear how actually, even though they were all one team before, they probably didn't get to see each other unless it was like the game days or probably over Skype calls. But having you in the same building, you can easily sit on a training session. I don't talk the whole thing. Obviously, I'm watching it, check it out. And then obviously we're Thursday, so we've got a few more shows left to do. I've got Team Solar Kestrel's Travis Charles on. I'm really excited to have him on. He's had a great 2 seasons, 2-time NBL Player of the Year, and multiple players have really been amazing. And we'll be chatting about this season and more, and his basketball journey so far. I imagine be eager to find out what's next for him. Then on Saturday, we've got Reading Rockets star Nick Richards. He'll be put to the test of how well do you know your club. I've really enjoyed doing those sort of a light-hearted way to learn a bit more about the stats, and it's great to sort of test their knowledge. Some players you can obviously tell really know their stuff, but I must admit I'm making questions quite hard for them, so I'm not giving them an easy go. So be interested to see how he gets on, and also talk about his journey a bit. So it's a mixed season for Reading, and I feel sorry for Reading in some ways because if you look at the fixture list, they have some really exciting days coming. I think they still have to play Hemel, Loughborough and Worthing. They would be great days for travelling fans or the home fans to watch. So it's a shame they didn't play those, and obviously they would have had playoffs as well. So we'll be talking about all that and more. And then on Sunday is my day of rest, so I think Rupert will have another great video for you guys to watch. And that's everything from me. I hope you guys stay well and safe. I hope these videos are keeping you going through this time. If there's anything you want me to cover or any feedback, I'm always welcome here. I love hearing suggestions. Some of you give me some great ideas for guests. And stay safe. And that's everything for me. Goodbye and have a lovely weekend. Bye now.